This is the only video you need to watch if you want to learn how to make a gin and it cocktail at home. My name is Ron Verpin. I'm a full-time medical doctor, and I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now. During that time, I've learned how to make over 100 different cocktails, and I've thrown over 50 cocktail parties, and I teach other busy professionals how to make cocktails at home. And in this video, we're going to be going over how to make the gin and it cocktail. And the gin and it cocktail is a classic cocktail from the late 1800s and early 1900s. I think of it essentially as a sweet martini, because it takes that same classic template of the martini and does a few substitutions. And a couple of them you can get right off the bat just from the name of the cocktail. First of all, it's called a gin and it, which means that although a classic martini can contain either gin or vodka, obviously a gin and it is going to be only containing gin. Gin is the only option. You can't really use vodka in this case. You have to use gin. And then the second part of that cocktail name, gin and it, the it is actually short for Italian. And typically this was, or traditionally this was made with an Italian sweet vermouth, but these days you can really use any type of sweet vermouth. And in this case, for this video, I'll be using Dolin, which is a French sweet vermouth. Dolin is one of my favorite brands overall for vermouths in general, sweet and dry. So that's what I'm going to be going with that here. And also because I think of this as a sweet martini, the martini in the classic way that I make it generally contains 2 dashes of orange bitters. And when you make a gin and it cocktail, which is like a sweet version of a martini, a sweet martini, you can either completely get rid of the bitters, or in the case that I'm going to be doing this video, I'm going to be cutting down the bitters from just 2 dashes all the way down to just 1 dash. So those are the real changes here when you compare this cocktail to a classic martini. So these are the main differences. And as with the classic martini, the real the crux of the whole recipe is the ratio of the liquor to the vermouth. And I'm going to be using the same exact ratio that I used for the classic martini, which is 2 to 1. 2 ounces of gin, 1 ounce of vermouth, which in this case is going to be a sweet vermouth. And really you can go with a bunch of different ratios, but over time I have found this to be the most well-balanced. And this is actually the same ratio that Sasha Petrosky uses. And this recipe is one that I got from the book regarding cocktails by Sasha Petrosky and his wife, Georgette Mosier Petrosky. He was a very famous bartender who was the head of the whole Milk and Honey family. Very successful, basically a very successful bar. And they had a number of modern classic cocktails come out of that bar. But this is the preferred ratio of gin to sweet vermouth that him and his wife preferred. So that's what I'm going to be going with here. So let's go ahead and start making the cocktail. It is going to be a stirred drink. It just contains alcoholic components, no juices, syrups, eggs, or dairy, anything like that. So it's going to be a stirred cocktail. We're going to be building it directly into the glass. So before we put our ice into the glass, I like to get the 1 dash of bitters on the bottom of the glass. That way it's not just sitting on top of the ice or anything like that. So that's the 1 dash of orange bitters. And for the exact brands that I'm going to be using, I forgot to mention that earlier, but for gin, we're going to be using Beefeater, which is that's basically the quintessential classic workhorse gin for home bartenders and bartenders of really of all levels. Then for the vermouth, the sweet vermouth, it's going to be a sweet vermouth, and then the brand that I'm going to be using is called Dolin. And Dolin is my favorite brand in general for all types of vermouths, especially for home bartenders. And then for orange bitters, I'm going to be using Regan's. A couple other great options for orange bitters are Angostura orange bitters and Feed Brothers. So multiple different great options that you can use for all these different components. These are just the ones that I'm going to be using. And I forgot to also mention the exact recipe, but it's going to be 2 ounces of gin, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, and then 1 dash of orange bitters. So we already have our dash of orange bitters in the bottom of the glass. Then I'm going to be putting in our ice. So you can either do 1 big ice cube like I've done, or you can do a couple smaller ice cubes. Then we got 2 ounces of gin. I think this pretty much finishes off the bottle for me. So that's 2 ounces of gin, and then finally 1 ounce of your sweet vermouth. Now we have all our components into the glass. Take your stirring spoon, get it in there, and then stir for about 20 to 30 seconds. There we have it chilled down to temperature. And there you have it, the gin and it cocktail, a sweet version of the martini. Cheers. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. If you found the advice in this video helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I really like to do 2 styles of videos on this channel. The first will be a tutorial style video like this one, where I show you guys how to make a specific cocktail. And then the second style of video will be more talking head style, where I go over different guides on different topics, share tips and tricks, share stories from my own journey, and answer questions and things like that I hope will help you guys become better home bartenders. If you really are more serious about this and want to take home bartending really seriously, I actually have a paid community on school.com. The link for that will be in the description below. Anyways, that's all I have for today's video. Thank you. Cheers.